Before we start, please be aware that this video will contain some minor spoilers from time to time, so if you want to know if you should watch this one, I would say it is definitely not Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but not to a point that it will leave a mark in the history. To me, this is just another attempt to revive a major franchise that doesn't really have anything to lose. If this one fails, Disney will just drop it and replace it with someone else. So if you love the franchise hoping it will return to the first 3 installments heyday, you're not gonna get that. If you want to watch a movie to waste 2 hours or so, it can be watchable but definitely noticeable with the shortcomings. With that out of the way, let's begin. In the nutshell, it is definitely better than the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which I know doesn't really say much, but trust me, this one is watchable, unlike the last one which is just, what is going on? The film is definitely trying to use the fact that our hero Harrison Ford is getting older to create a story that this larger-than-life character Indiana Jones is growing old as well, which is the logical first instinct for any writer who is trying to write a sequel to an iconic franchise that hasn't been on the big screen for such a long time. What I'm trying to say is the setting is definitely fresh and interesting for this franchise to a degree, but it really doesn't add much to the story if they are not utilizing this hero is getting old trope into the story. And for the most part, it doesn't. At least all the adventure stuff, there's really no difference between this older Jones and the younger Jones in terms of wit and physicality. He is still doing all the things he can do, still running, jumping here and there, taking bombs, even getting shot and bleeding for around half an hour and not dying. Like, I know he is Indiana Jones, but really? In 2023, an 80-year-old guy, God, getting shot and bleeding for so long somehow doesn't affect him physically? That aside, him at the end of his professor career is also not adding much to the story other than a chaos during his last day that sets him off to another adventure. The only additional niche that plays a part in the story is him getting separated with his wife after his son's death. Yeah, that guy, remember him? This is already not a very fresh new idea, and it didn't really play any major role in the adventure itself other than having a wholesome ending in the end, which doesn't make sense either. I will talk about that later. As the film makes Indy go on a journey in order to retrieve the relic due to him being assumed guilty of murder, which is a far stretch. Like, how is getting the relic back gonna prove he's innocent or achieve anything other than the world realizes him having a rare relic from the past? And how is this gonna make him a murderer? Like, someone in the campus must have noticed this gang of mafia-like characters walking into the school. Even the freaking CIA witnessed the whole murder all along. What the hell? This is one of those films that just uses bare minimum amount of thought into the inciting incident that forces the hero out of his ordinary life to go on a remarkable journey, or in this case, slightly remarkable. His decision to go on the journey is solely built on him being an archaeologist who will do whatever he can to explore and bring relics into the museum. Correction. His decision to go on the journey is solely built on him not wanting anyone to profit of auctioning a relic that belongs in a museum. And that is the worst Harrison Ford impression of all time. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
This stay continues on until the very end of the adventure, which makes all of it kind of redundant and boring, as I have no idea why he needs to be on the journey in the first place. L337? Helena Shaw is probably the heart and soul of the movie in terms of emotional drive. Her story has the best potential to be the one that carries the whole movie, but it just didn't happen. The script chose to make her a Han Solo ripoff, scoundrel-type character who has no regard for anything other than profit, but will occasionally be a very soft and mushy character when the people around her are in trouble. She has a very promising beginning to her story, but after she revealed her true self, all the potential just washed away by her scoundrelness, if that's a word. And not that it's bad, I think Phoebe is very charming in the movie, unlike her playing a droid but moving like a human shouting for droid rights while pleasuring a guy. Sorry, I know I did it again, sorry. Her softness definitely shines when it needs to at the very end, and her transformation to slowly care for the kid and Indy after being influenced by Indy is definitely competent enough. But I personally would rather they do stuff with her trying to complete what drove her dad mad and disregard everything else until Indy finally filled in that father figure that she needs. She herself even brought that up once, but they just want her to be charming so that they can test if she can be popular enough to maybe replace Harrison down the line. If that's the case, come on, Disney.
Disney rant alert. Disney rant alert.
You tried it once. It not only didn't work, it failed spectacularly. And even the last Indiana Jones movie sort of tried that, and it was not a success as well, although that movie has bigger problems than finding the suitable successor to Harrison. Harrison Ford is Harrison Ford. Other than Han Solo, Indiana Jones is his most iconic character, if not more iconic. And a big part of that is because of Harrison Ford. You cannot just give his character to someone else. It would take an incredible story and perfect casting to maybe make it work. With your money first, other thing not important mentality, you will never achieve that. Never.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Jurgen Voller. I'm sorry, I don't know German. I'll just call him Matt. He is another character I feel like is definitely great, but I personally rather something more interesting happen. Not that his story is not interesting, his story is freaking bonkers in a good way, just less memorable than I would like it to be. He has a very good setup for his backstory. All the little things and interaction that show him being disregarded and belittled despite being the best mind in the room gave him a very strong motivation to do something crazy. And he did, but I think his motivation doesn't really suit his action. Despite being disregarded, even proving to be the one who helped mankind to move forward in terms of science breakthrough, his ultimate goal is to replace Hitler himself so German can win the war in the past, to change his future, so he can continue to be hailed as the best mind ever. Like, what? Great mission, but how is it tied into his backstory and emotional state of being disregarded? I personally would like to see him maybe want to go back and join the winning side so he can maybe change how people perceive him as a scientist first instead of a Nazi first. Again, still great, but just don't really fit into what the movie is showing at the beginning. And this is just typical Disney, you know? You cannot have a guy who is in the gray area trying to do something for himself. If he's a freaking Nazi, he's freaking Nazi all the way. Teddy is definitely a character to attract children and an attempt to recreate the magic of Short Round. Did it succeed? I personally think it is big fat no. In terms of being a child helping their leads on the adventure, kinda top notch. His story, almost none. There is a thing where he wants to be a pilot, sort of, like he loves flying and stuff, but it is very minor, like just one scene minor. He doesn't really play any major role in the story other than getting the protagonist and the antagonist together. But he is not being pushed to a point where I find him annoying. It is like, if he's there, fine. If he's not there, well, he's not important anyway. And most of the important scene doesn't really need him and he's not there. And his payoff of flying, the setup is already illogical. Then it really becomes illogical. Like Rey able to fly the Millennium Falcon type of illogical. Literally. If I remember correctly, he even did the spinning trick. He's just not very important to the story at all. And whenever he's on screen, he's kinda not really adding much and sometimes hurt the movie in general. After the incredible third act, the resolution is really bad. They try to do an Indiana Jones leaving, but I don't feel the emotion because the film never set up his intention for this journey as he has no reason to stay in his time anymore. Like, when did we set this up? Like, literally right now. The scene is very well acted, especially Phoebe, but it doesn't have any weight to it, and the ending is just completely trash. Indy's marriage is getting better, that one is good. I mean, anyone's marriage getting better is always good. But what about the relic? Where did that go? And what about the murder charges? Where did that go? What about the CIA agent at the very beginning who knows Indy is innocent? Where did she go? Where did the entire CIA go? The entire thing is so rushed that they skip the entire ending and just go straight to the last scene. What the heck? And the tease of another one? Of course, typical Disney. Well acted, very well acted. Great action, great effect. The de-aging stuff is pretty well done. They know to hide it in the dark, although 30 to 40% of the action scene, I can't see shit. Great story idea, but not really written tight enough to connect them all. A very interesting and fresh mission for the antagonist. Great antagonist in fact. Overall, some things are good, but the good things have a lot of alright or dumb stuff in there that makes it less entertaining, but it still allowed me to enjoy it in the theater. If you love Indiana Jones, who doesn't? This is watchable, but definitely nowhere near the first 3 films, not even close to the Temple of Doom. It really is a shame to see our heroes grow old, but Harrison is still killing it at 80. What an actor. Still jumping, punching, running, unlike some young actors who don't do stuff but like to talk stuff. I don't know how much this franchise has left, but as always, slap Harrison's face onto the poster and take my money. But please, Disney, just do something decent, please.
Move along.